we've been in group therapy.
The first half hour is therapy.
The first half hour is therapy.
Oh, yeah.
It is. Spooky Sips therapy.
Hello, and welcome to Spooky Sips, where we put our love of horror movies into a podcast and sip some spirits along the way. I'm one of your hosts, Yvette, here with my co-hosts, Laura and Brianna.
Hello.
Hey. All right, so it's the season of love. So here on Spooky Sips, we thought, what better than a Bloody Valentine? So we just finished watching the 1981 movie, My Bloody Valentine. It's about this group of teenagers that are like, okay, our town is finally going to have their Valentine dance again because they haven't had it in 20 years because there was something that happened. And they're like, let's do it. So they're going to, and it does not go that way.
Yeah. Okay, but like also how old were they?
At least like 47.
No. Yeah, if I think they were supposed to be adults though, right?
Well, was it not high school?
I mean, they're working the mines.
Well, okay, this was my confusion because because most of the men were in their mid 40s, but the girls were all in like 16, and then they were going to like either a community or was it a high school dance?
No, I think it's a community dance. I think it's like the town halls.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I really thought they were like high school kids.
Well,
I know they were drinking, but I was like, well, it's
Yeah.
the 80s, so
I mean, yeah, they were drinking and
Well, I
working
figured it's the 80s. Like,
That's so true.
Right.
Honestly, yeah.
you
But
know.
no, the girls were all like they seemed teenagers and the men all seemed 45.
Yeah.
Well, it's all that coal mining, you know, it really ages
Exactly.
you.
Yeah, the mines will get you.
It's hard work.
Okay, though.
Whoa.
I'd never heard of this movie.
That was weird.
Okay,
Wait,
yeah.
what?
Did you hear that too?
I heard it too.
Is it my mic? Did it do something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as you were talking, it was kind of cool. You were saying something and you were like, okay, though.
It was actually kind of fun. I really hope it recorded it.
I hope it did too. Watch, it sounds totally normal.
Yeah, that's so weird. Okay. I think I fixed it.
Okay, though.
But I was going to say, I had never heard of this movie.
Mm-mm.
And I'm amazed because, like, for a slasher movie, like, I was totally feeling it. And I feel like this was kind of a little bit right in the era of, like, Nightmare on 13th, like, Jason. And I was like, how had I never heard of this movie before? So had either of you seen it or even heard of it?
So I hadn't seen it. I had honestly only heard of when we were looking up what movie to watch. I remember the like My Bloody Valentine 3D being advertised, which I think was like a remake of this.
Yes.
In 3D. Which I didn't watch either. Like I remember hearing about that one, but I had never heard of this. And I feel like now that we've watched it and I was looking into it, it definitely has like a cult following. Like I think people are big fans of it, but never heard of it before. Never watched
How
it.
strange.
Mhm.
Yeah, I had heard of the remake, the 3D one, and as I'm watching it, the major villain or hero in the movie, what's his name? Harry Warden. So I think that character does show up in like classic horror, like haunted houses and things like that, like with the gas mask.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So, but
Mhm.
I guess I hadn't really placed it.
Yeah.
Or hadn't watched it. So it makes sense. It's there, but it's not like one of the super go-tos.
The staples.
No. But
Right.
honestly, very solid costume.
Yes,
Like with the
totally.
mask and stuff. Like that's a good costume.
Oh, I
And
love
even
it.
just the setting of once they're like down in the mine, like mines are scary.
They
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
No, I loved the concept of this movie for sure.
Mhm.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's
And it had a strong start.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I love the start.
Okay. Like it's been a long week. So like full disclosure, I started this movie and I thought like it's not gonna be that serious. So I was immediately on my phone. And so like the movie started and I was like, oh, I must have missed something. Like, how did we get here?
Yeah.
Like I restarted because it's like I need to pay attention because I don't know what just happened.
Yes.
Yep. So yeah, this is what I wrote down. I wrote sexy time in the mine. Yes, stroke that gas mask hose. Because they're like, so like this dude in a gas mask is making out with this girl and she's got like this heart tattoo. And the way she like strokes his gas mask
I know.
hose, I'm like, girl.
Like he's like, no, leave the mask on.
I loved her heart tattoo. I was like, oh my gosh, it's perfect.
Oh, and then as they're making out, then we instantly get our first death, and he just pushes her chest like through.
Because he had a pickaxe, and he had like put it in the wall so that he could like caress her.
Mm-hmm.
But then he takes her by the shoulders and he just forces her back, and so you know that the back of her head gets pickaxed.
Yeah. Oh. No, the kills in this movie are crazy.
They're like they do. I can't wait to talk about the next. There's another one that I'm excited for.
I did try to keep track of them. So as we go, I did try to keep track of them.
So, okay.
Yeah. So then after we get our first death, then we get just this scene of like all of the miners. And then this is when I wrote down, these men are terrible people and worse actors.
Yeah.
Because the accent, like the way there's is crazy. I had to turn on subtitles. Like I was having I had no idea what words they were saying when I was watching it.
I am 100% just going to put my notes, like a screenshot of my notes on our Instagram because it's amazing. But my first one was, what are these accents? What's happening?
What is happening? What are they saying?
I don't even understand.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It was bad. It was bad.
Yeah. And it's like, so they're all showering. Then they're, after a day at the mines, they're showering all the coal off. And they're just like so excited to go that they're like, there's this scene with like the most random music as they're like running out to their cars and like the weirdest sequence of events. Like where they're like pulling up their pants while they're doing it. Like it was so chaotic.
Very chaotic.
It really was. There was a lot of this movie that was very chaotic.
It's so chaotic.
It was so bad. And so then we see as they like leave work and they're driving into town because they're so excited to, go party with their girlfriends who, they're all 16 when they're 40.
Yeah.
But we see the sign where it says, "Welcome to Valerie Bluffs, little town, big heart." Or no, sorry.
Valentine.
Valentine. Why did I write Valerie? No, I wrote Valentine. You guys, I am sober right now. Maybe that's my problem. Valentine. I was writing it in the dark as I was. Okay, wait, can we cut that part out?
Yeah, start again.
As they leave. As they leave their little party, they're excited, these 40-year-old men, to go party with their 16-year-old girlfriend. We see the sign. "Welcome to Valentine Bluffs."
Oh, Valentine.
Little town, big heart.
I love a little town setup. Like, I don't know if I probably haven't talked to it on the podcast, but like I freaking love just rewatching Murder, She Wrote. Like if I could live in Cabot Cove, I would.
Yes.
So like I love a little town setup. I love that it's like, oh yeah, the town is coming together for the Valentine's dance, and like the whole town is decorated with Valentine's Day like decorations. It's like I love the idea of a town dance. I wish my town had a dance.
I know, me too.
Portland.
The decorations were so cute. They were everywhere. They were like all up and down the streets on every storefront, like in the laundromat, which we'll talk about later. But like,
this past December in Midvale, there were signs, handwritten signs put up on poles that said Christmas dance, and they gave an address. So that was a missed opportunity that we didn't go.
Oh, shoot.
It was probably just drugs. Like it was definitely
sounds like it was the town dance.
I would have gone. Maybe there would have been some murder there. Probably.
So yeah, it's got that small time charm.
Whoa. And there's
small
also
town
like,
charm.
just a lot of like wonderful things that people say. And I don't remember the exact context of it, but the one of the quotes that I really liked was, I don't know, they were getting ready for something and somebody goes, "Suck it in and zip it up, would you?" Do you guys remember the context?
No.
I remember someone did say that. It was one of the girls said it to the guy.
Okay.
That's all I remember though.
But I just feel like that needs to be my motto for when I'm like, needing to, just get ready, go to work, just suck it in and zip it up.
Yep.
Go.
So we do get the feeling early on that there's something happening, because we understand that it's been 20 years since the last dance and none of the elder folk want to talk about it. They're just moving on. So we're like, oh, what happened?
But the mayor does get a Valentine's.
Yes, he does.
He gets a box of chocolates. But when he opens the box of chocolate, there is a note and a warning about not, basically, like, don't have the dance or else, you know, people are going to start dying again. And there's instead of it being like, you know, a Valentine's heart, it's an actual human heart.
A human heart.
Oh. And I love his reaction to it is like, oh, not again.
Right.
Like,
oh, man.
Oh, man. Now we have to do this again.
Yep. Like he's tired of it. Oh.
And then, okay.
And so then there's chatter of like, should they do it or not?
Right.
And one of the people that's like a big advocate of it is Mabel. She's like, we got to do the dance.
Love Mabel.
Yep. But some of the people who don't want the dance, like the crazy guy at the bar, tells the bartender. The bartender.
We get the background.
Yes, he tells the story of why. So I'm actually I'm going to count this as deaths 2 through 5, because of how we learned about them through the movie.
That's fair.
So he tells the story at the bar about how, you know, at the mines, these 2 supervisors, they were supposed to, you know, like wait till the end of the shift and like wait for everybody to get up safely, but they decided to like leave without checking to make sure that everyone else was gone. And they didn't check the methane levels, is what it is. The supervisors didn't check the methane level.
Right.
Because I think they were going to the dance, right? They were like, oh, gotta go to the town dance.
That's exactly it. That's why. So because they didn't check the methane levels, they were too anxious to get to the dance. There was 5 miners that were left down there, and it exploded.
Yep.
And they were trapped, and the town tried to search for them for weeks. And they're like searching through the rubble and digging, and turns out there was only 1 survivor.
Yep.
But the reason he survived is because even though he had been down there for weeks without food or air, really, but whatever, or water, is he was eating the other victims. He was eating the dead.
Yep. And so he went away to the crazy.
Yeah. So he went away to the hospital.
Asylum.
Yep. And then he was in the hospital for a year, and then he came back, and then we have deaths now are up to 7 because he comes back to the town. He kills those supervisors, and he warned the town to never hold a dance again. And then I like how they say he comes back every year to warn us.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, well, then somebody stop him.
Right. Like if he's there every year at the same time.
I guess
like,
if he's not
he's coming.
Anything,
how incompetent are you guys? Like, come on.
I guess if all he's doing is just warning people, like maybe it's not a big deal, but
but so the bartender is like, y'all are crazy and you're gonna die if you do this.
I love that there's just, you get all of the horror tropes in like the best way. Like this is like you're yelling at the screen, you know, it's like, of course the old barkeep is warning everyone of the stories of the town, and like you get so many of the classic horror tropes, but I think in like an amazing way.
Yeah, totally.
I think my favorite part is next at the laundromat.
Yes.
Because we learn that this is Mabel's laundromat.
Yeah.
And you know, it's all decorated.
Well, it's like I swear it's like a laundronet or something. It's not even like the laundromat. It's like it has a cuter name.
It did have a cuter name. It really did.
And I just love how, like, we already talked about the decorations all over the town, but like every single like washing machine and dryer had its own little heart decoration on it.
And she was washing more decorations. She was washing heart-shaped pillows. And while she's in the back room, another box of Valentines gets dropped off for Mabel. And she's all cute because she thinks someone's giving her a Valentine.
And we also should say, I love all the poetry.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
because
yes.
each Valentine, and I didn't write them down, but each Valentine has like these ridiculous rhymes that have like the warning about like, horrific things that are to come, which is amazing.
And in hers was,
I just wrote number 8, bam, pickaxed.
Okay, I do have her thing. Hers red, roses are red, violets are blue, one is dead, and so are you.
Oh, Mabel.
that was it.
Poor Mabel.
And yeah, she's toast.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now the cop, the sheriff, comes to tell her something.
Yeah.
And we hear the dryer going. And I thought it was going to be a head.
I thought so too.
I was like, sweet, it's her head. Beautiful. Love this.
Yeah.
Like, no.
And like he comes in and like he can smell something.
Yes.
Like it's
weird.
kind of a long scene.
It is.
Yeah. And like you get it's like, oh, like he like smelled, like he's like looking around.
He's like, Mabel,
like see what's going on. Like you get this like, oh, he's like smells something weird. Like it takes a minute for him to find her.
No, it does. And then he opens the dryer and it's just the whole Mabel.
This melted Mabel.
Like completely burnt.
He
Full
looks
body.
like skinned.
Oh,
I was not expecting an entire person to be in the dryer.
Like that is a powerful dryer. I wonder what
really
brand
is.
that was because dang.
yes, commercial drying.
Industrial.
Yep.
I don't think they get hot enough to melt all your skin off. But
you never know unless you try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the sheriff,
man.
the sheriff is like,
no dance.
Okay, nobody knows. She just had a heart attack or something. Like,
right.
He doesn't want anyone to know because he doesn't want people to get scared. But he is like, we have to cancel the dance.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like, how are you just going to tell people she just like had a heart attack and not investigate this and just pretend like she didn't just get murdered?
Right. Oh yeah. No, it's
what kind of bullshit police work is
like
this?
Obvious murder that will continue to be more murders.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, because then they go to like figure out if it's why can I never remember this dude's Harry Warden? They go to figure out if it is Harry Warden. So they like go to the psych ward where he's supposed to be. Although that doesn't make sense if he comes back every year.
Right.
He's still
That's
in the psych
what
ward.
I thought. I was like, I don't understand.
There's some plot holes. It's fine.
Like he gets out once a year to go like.
Yeah. No, again, this movie is so random. Like I just to jump around because I don't remember where it happens. I feel like it's earlier. We find out there's like a love triangle.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, we find that out as they're hanging out at the junkyard, like you do.
Oh, right.
Yes. But the way the two guys like start talking
is wild.
At the junkyard is they do this like harmonica. Like one of them starts playing a harmonica, and then the other one chimes in and starts playing a second harmonica, and then they both stop, and it's like, all right, I guess we got to talk about it.
Like if you haven't had two men harmonica battle.
I've not.
Do you even know Love?
I guess you don't.
No, obviously.
Well, and as they're doing that and they're arguing over Sarah is the love interest, the one guy says, "Ain't nothing to do about it." And I was like, why did he say it? Like,
stop being weird.
I love this movie.
No, the more I think about it, the more I like it.
And I don't remember the boys' names. It was
Axel
and the blonde
TJ.
and the brunette.
TJ.
Okay.
Yeah. And we also get, I think it's TJ or I forget. It's one of the two. We also clearly get that they're Canadian because several times as they're talking, they say things like sorry. And
they
like,
say sorry no less than 200 times.
No, that was one of my notes.
Yep.
Oh, I also had a note that said the blush. I love it.
Ooh,
all the ladies had amazing 80s blush.
80s blush is great.
Very good.
No, that's so true.
Yes. So, okay.
So as the cop was trying, because there's the battle over Sarah that's happening, but then as the cop is trying to figure out if Harry Warden had escaped. It turns out that Harry Warden isn't at the hospital, and also there's no records of him ever.
Of course.
Here.
Dun dun dun.
So they're like, maybe we should cancel the dance. I love the plot of this movie. So
I know
much.
it's better cancel the town dance.
And okay, so this is again a little like out of order, but it's fine. Because then I think this is when the scene where they discovered Mabel's body happened. But I had written down, because the clue is when they walk into the laundromat, in addition to the smell, is there's a couple of hearts that are turned upside
down.
Dun dun dun.
Mm-hmm. It's so good. This movie's actually great.
It really is. So they cancel the dance.
And then
naturally,
the teenage adults are like, you know what? We should just have a party anyway. Because the cop is like, not only, like the sheriff is like, not only can you not have the dance, you're not allowed to have any parties.
Right.
This is officially the town of Footloose.
Yes.
There's no dancing, no partying in this town.
No.
And so naturally they're like, you know where we could go? The mines.
The mine.
That was my next note. I said a dance in the mines. Great idea.
Yes. I love it.
Horror movie logic.
Great idea.
Let's have a dance in the spooky basement.
Mm-hmm. So while they're kind of like getting this set up and going, we get our 9th death, and it's the poor barman, the bartender, who wants to teach the kids a lesson.
Yeah.
Like, I'll teach you to not be afraid of Harry Warden. And so he makes this fake Harry Warden. Yeah, that's his name, Harry Warden, like behind a door. And so he's like practicing to like trigger it. So he opens the door so that the pickaxe kind of, drops, and it's like the mannequin to scare him.
Right.
So he like tries it 3 separate times.
He just wouldn't stop. He just kept doing it.
Testing it.
No, he did it. Yeah, no, he did it like 5 times. Yes. He was so excited about it.
So he did it. Yeah, he did it like a gazillion times.
And he was so proud of himself.
It was all ready to go. He was so proud of himself. And then he had to go back. He had to go back and try it one more time.
Mm-hmm.
And sure as shit, the real Harry Warden was behind the door and killed him.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Oh.
Which, again,
yep.
Poetic. This movie's so poetic. Really.
Yeah.
So now the dance is happening. The tension in the love triangle is at an all-time high, because she went and spent time with the other guy, TJ.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Axel got mad. And so it's just, and finally she's like, I don't want either of you. Leave me alone. Like, she's just mad at him.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And there's lots of other teens that start going actually into the mine, like not just the workroom, but like
the
mine. Because they're like, you know what would be so fun if we went into the mine?
Yeah, like let's
take
go
us
make out in
underground.
Yes,
into the mines.
But before they go into the mine, we have to talk about, in my opinion, the most insulting and horrific death that happened the entire movie. So first of all, at this party with all of these teenagers, they decide, you know what's good party food? A giant boiling pot of hot dogs.
Hot dogs.
Yes. My note says...
No, I love that that's their party food.
My note says boiled to death in a pot of hot dogs.
Laura, maybe make some notes for your birthday. We can just have a nice pot of boiling hot dogs.
I like a hot dog as much as the next guy, but come on, that's ridiculous. Because then
I may never eat another hot dog.
They all just have to go into the kitchen when they're hungry, and they just get their little tongs and dish out this wet hot dog.
So weird. I mean, I know why they did it. They wanted this scene.
Right.
It's like, just order pizza.
Right.
I still have a bit of a cold, so I feel like I have this like raspy coughers laugh right now. I'm like, oh, but anyway,
yeah, and he shoves his head in there and he dies.
Yeah, he gets this kid gets his head shoved in, and at first I wrote like pretend death ? Because we didn't see him
See him.
dead. We learn later he for sure was like, and his skin is all like melted off from the hot dog water. But like that was just a rude death.
Because
I thought.
then they put was it his heart in there?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
and
so
it
then,
like was gray.
People kept eating the hot dogs.
I don't understand why his heart was gray.
Because it was
because they had been
boiled.
boiled. It's cooked.
Does that make
throw a steak in boiling water?
Think about the color of chicken before you cook it, and then the color of chicken after you cook it.
It's none of those are gray.
Well, have you cooked a human heart before?
Yes.
Yeah, but it's like it's cooked, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways, and so it's gross because they're like,
Mm-hmm.
You know.
But, so yeah, then there's like the fight between like the love triangle, and I felt like Axel was getting like real kind of rapey with Sarah. Like he was just like it was not okay.
Yeah, there were some inappropriate vibes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then we've got the other couple that's in making out on the mine tracks.
Yeah. Or in their like their what do you call that? Like not the showers, like their locker room.
Yeah.
Yes, there's multiple.
Well, because they started making out on the train thing, and he was like, "I'm going to go get us some beer." So he leaves her, and when he comes back down, he can't find her, but the showers are running. So whatever her name was, she was like, "Oh, come here, baby."
Yeah. Okay, but we have to talk about the setup is like, they're in there. I don't know what you would call it. I want to call it like a locker room because all of their overalls are hanging.
Such great setup.
The way that they do it is they put their overalls on a hook and then they get lifted up. So when you want the overalls, you just like pull on a rope and they come down. So it's like she's like Sylvia is laying down.
Yeah, Sylvia.
She just gets all the overalls hanging above her and she like pulls one down for fun. But then they like all start coming down. And like that would be so scary.
Terrifying.
So scary. Because
that's
then
like straight out of like a haunted house, like haunted mansion.
Yes.
Having all these overalls like drop down on
and you know one of them is going to be the killer. You just don't
100%. Yeah. You're just waiting.
Oh, yes. So then she dies. Her boy goes up to like, get the beer. That's when he discovers like the dead body and the heart in the water.
Right.
But then he comes back down to find her. And I loved this scene because as he goes into the showers thinking she's there for sexy time with him, he looks up where the water's coming out and the water, it's like a pole or like a hook has gone in through her head.
It's a shower head.
Yeah. So that the water, the whole shower head.
Yes. She was like her decapitated head was on the shower head. So the water was coming out of her face.
Coming out of her face.
I was like, that is the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
It was so good.
A shower head. Oh,
that was a good kill.
Amazing.
Well,
so then
since he went to go get them, maybe we should talk about what we're sipping on.
Ooh, yes.
For this episode.
Yes.
Well, I feel like they only really drink. I mean, I feel like we usually try to do either a theme or something that they drink.
Right.
And I feel like they really focus on one thing in this movie, and it was Moosehead beer.
Moosehead beer.
They had dozens and dozens of things of Moosehead beer.
Yes.
So what better pairing?
Which I've had Moosehead beer before.
I have not.
Solid.
Oh, I haven't had it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think it's the last major brewery in Canada still owned by Canadians, at least according to their website. So, they went real Canadian, much like the rest of this movie.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. I mean, it's not like anything amazing that I can think of, but
I think it's like the equivalent of like a Heineken.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of just like, I don't know, middle of the road beer. It's fine.
Yeah.
So it was at this point where, spoilers ahead, I was like, oh, it's the blonde boyfriend. I couldn't remember their names. I was like, it's him, isn't it?
Oh, you thought that? I didn't think that yet.
Oh, I didn't put that together.
At this point, because I just wrote down, it's the boyfriend, isn't it? And then I said, the blonde. Like I couldn't remember.
Axel.
No, okay, now wait, how did you know it was Axel? Because Laura and I didn't put it together. So
okay, because she had more time with TJ. So I was like, TJ has been around when some of the others are happening, so it has to have been Axel. Because like TJ was in the room when some of them were like happening.
But how did you know it wasn't the guy? The one who comes back every year?
Harry Warden.
Oh, just because I was like, there's no other reason they would have introduced that love triangle if it wasn't one of them. Like, what does that storyline have to do with anything?
Smart.
Like, of course it has to be.
That's smart.
Because otherwise, like, why do we care?
You were way smarter about this.
Although they also introduced the other like couple where there's like the man who, again, he was like 45 and the girl was super young, and the guy was just he was literally their dad. Like, as he's like, they even called him daddy.
Daddy, I know.
And I was like, yes, it's because he looks like their father, but he's with the other girl.
Because I had oh no, that's later. Never, I'm not gonna give that away yet. This is the save.
Hollis.
This is to be continued.
Okay. Yeah, so Hollis, so I don't know. There was a lot of weird random couples, right? But good catch on that, Fran.
So
now that we got the group going down to the mines,
yes,
because like that would be so fun.
Yeah,
let's all check out the mines.
Let's go see. I want to see what you do.
Oh my gosh, show me the mines. Which, like, you know, in case you were ever thinking about doing this, don't.
I will never.
So stupid. And I like how they're not worried about, you know, like needing, you know, safety equipment or hard hats. They're like, how are the girls going to do it in their dresses? It's like they shouldn't go anyway.
Right.
Like, you know, there's no women allowed in the mine.
They take the little train.
Which,
or whatever you call it.
I was having the mine carts.
Yeah, the mine carts.
I was having
Donkey Kong.
The best flashbacks to the Donkey Kong levels.
Oh my
of being in the little mine carts and the jumps and stuff. It made me want to play Donkey Kong.
Some of the best episodes.
I wanted to play
levels.
Yes, I wanted to play Donkey Kong so bad after watching this.
I can like literally hear the sound it makes when it's jumping in my head right now.
Oh my gosh.
So Donkey Kong. Diddy is better in the mine carts than Donkey.
I agree. Yeah,
he has better maneuvers.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's a little lighter.
Agile.
Yeah.
Anyway, so as this smaller group of some couples goes down the mine, the people upstairs realize that Harry Warden is out and killing people. So they're like, get the fuck out of here. Like, they're all running away.
Oh, they found the guy's head in the fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now it's like full panic.
Yeah. So they're all like, let's get the fuck out. But the other people are like down in the mines.
So that's when TJ tells Axel, Sarah's down there with the crew. So
and this is what I wrote. Like, aw, they're bonding over trying to save Sarah.
Aw, friendship.
But so yeah, then they're down in the mine, and then at one point we see who I thought was Harry Warden coming down to kill them, because we see like light smash as he's like walking down the mine, which was a cool effect.
No, yeah, it was good. Well, so they go down to the mine, and then again you get horror movie amazing logic, which was like, yay, that was fun. Show me the abandoned part of the mine now.
Right. Right.
I love a horrible horror movie logic. It's like, now that we're down in the spooky mine, let's go to the spookiest part of the mine.
Yeah, let's go where it's really dangerous.
But like, I wrote that Michael and Harriet had gone off on their own.
Yeah, because they were like, "Oh, we'll be over here.
We'll be there. Yeah,
we'll meet you at whatever."
but pretty soon, we have our deaths 12 and 13, because Daddy finds Michael and Harriet's body. Although they were like embraced, at least they died together.
Kind of forget the order of the mine.
I wrote four. Okay, so for 14, I wrote Hollis gets shot dead. Hollis falls onto friend's girlfriend. Oh yeah, so Hollis, the daddy, he gets shot, and then he kind of like falls like around the corner, and he like falls onto like his girlfriend, and she's like losing her shit.
Okay, yeah, I remember that.
And then Howard, their other friend, he just takes off. He just leaves the girls behind. He's like, see ya, gotta go. And then I do love so the one annoying girl was Patty. And so she's like losing it because, you know, Daddy just died. And so Sarah's trying to get her to like get a hold of herself, so she just slaps her.
The old slap in the face to get it together.
But yeah, so they're trying to escape. They realize that I think the elevator like cords had been cut or something, or had been blown up.
The elevator's not working.
Yeah. So they try to like climb up this like rickety ladder, and Patty's losing it and being really
I loved the
annoying.
ladder. Like, because the idea of like, because they say at some point that the mine is like about 2,000 feet deep.
Yeah.
Like they tell you that.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, elevator's broken. We have to take, like the most corroded ladder you've ever seen.
Right.
Let's just climb it 2,000 feet.
That's
Oh my
how I
God.
would have been.
Yeah, I would have had her
100%.
reaction too, just clinging on, like, stop, don't make me go further.
That would
I would have been
me.
like Sarah. I would have been behind you, just like, come on, go,
Just
go.
keep going.
No, I would have been petrified.
Yeah, this death though was again, like their deaths they're so creative.
Mm-hmm.
They really were.
They were good. Do you remember the name of the guy who was
Howard.
leading? Howard takes a slip. He was the one up top.
Yep.
And then there was like a cable or a rope next to the ladder that gets caught around his neck before he falls down. Like it's so awful.
It's a genius death, but awful.
Yeah. It's like, how did you even come up with this one?
I know.
So yeah, he just falls down, ends up hanging himself, but also like the force of it makes it so that like blood splatters on the girls' faces. And so then instead of keeping going, they just go back down.
Right.
Because horror movie logic.
I was like, you guys were almost there.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
No, back into the creepy mine is the only solution.
Because I was curious if I was like, did I miss something? Did they discover that like they couldn't get out from the ladder anymore, or why did they just decide never mind?
They're like, well, clearly this doesn't work.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
It would have made too much sense, and that doesn't apply in horror movies.
So then here was kind of a clue as to what's to come. They're going another way, and for some reason, TJ and the girls, because TJ, Axel, and then Patty and Sarah, they're all trying to go, and for some reason, TJ and the girls get ahead of Axel.
Right.
And then we hear this like kerplop.
Yeah.
And so they kind of go back because they were walking over like a bridge area, and it seems like Axel has like sunk into the water and has drowned. But we don't technically see
it.
No. And then they finally just all get up on the ground. Like, how do they get up there? They're all up.
Well, no, but then we have another death.
We have another death.
Yeah, no, they're still dying.
Our
shit.
Because we were down to 3 people, right? At this point.
Yep.
So now it's what's the friend?
Patty.
And this one was the most boring. You know, like she had made it so long.
I don't even remember. I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
Pickaxe to the gut.
Oh, okay. That's right.
Straight to the gut.
Right.
Yeah.
Dull.
And then,
anyways.
Yeah. Now it's just Sarah and TJ.
Yes. And this is when there's like a chase on the mine carts.
Yeah.
Scene.
Oh, yes. Because they're like, oh, okay, let's just go back the way we came. Like have the mine cart go back up.
And meanwhile, people from the town are coming down, so they're like trying to find them. And then we discover that it's Axel.
And he sings a song about his daddy.
Yeah.
Which was weird.
Yeah.
Even knowing the context, it was weird. I was like, I like his daddy song.
Yeah, it was weird.
Because he is, what's his face, his son.
Yeah, so what had happened is his dad, so Axel's dad, had been killed by Harry, I was going to say like Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, by Harry Warden. They sound the same, right?
Tomato.
Oh, no, Axel's dad
Harry. Why is that name so hard to remember?
I don't know. I can't. The Harry
because I just kept writing HW. So he by HW on Valentine's Day. But then we learned that Harry Warden had been dead for 5 years. So Axel took over Harry's job.
And it's brutal. The scene where we see his dad being killed, like the little kid is just covered in blood and it's
Yeah, it's
sad
awful.
and traumatic. I mean, that's traumatizing for sure.
Yeah, he never works through that, it would seem.
Right.
But then there's like a cave in the mine or something. And so they
Oh,
go-
yeah, because the final like chase is they get off the cart and then go into like a side room.
Yes.
And it's like the
I was
most
like, what is that?
structurally unstable mine you've ever seen, because every time they hit anything, all of the walls fall
Everything
apart.
just falls apart.
It's just
I was
every
like-
section.
It's so dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they are in a mine.
Right.
That's true. That's true. But then it collapses.
Yeah.
But then they go to get Axel out anyway. And they do discover that he's alive. But instead of him, coming out, he does the most crazy high-pitched voice and laugh. He says something like, "Sarah, be my bloody Valentine."
Yeah.
And then he runs deeper into the mines.
Runs away.
Amazing.
Love
what a
it.
movie. What a wild ride.
It was wild.
I have that
that
it was
is
17
true.
deaths.
That sounds
Okay,
right.
that's pretty good. That's
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
This was definitely a slasher
Yes.
by every classification.
Mm-hmm.
What a movie.
It's a ride for sure.
So, Laura, where are you going to take us tonight? Because, like PTSD, I don't know. Where are we going?
No, here's where I'm going to take you. I thought, what is the psychology behind victims becoming similar perpetrators?
Ooh.
Because that is what Axel did.
Yes.
He was this victim of Harry Warden and then became Harry Warden. And so we're going to do a little bit psych, a little bit criminology.
Nice.
Ooh, okay.
But
just remember, she's not a real doctor, but it's okay because these are not real people or
Thank
real
goodness.
killers.
Thank goodness.
Luckily.
Thank goodness. So I have decided that I am quitting becoming a psychologist.
Yes.
And I will become a criminologist because I started reading all of these articles and then watching all of these professors give these lectures on criminology theories on YouTube.
Ooh.
And I was like, this is fascinating.
You have our full support for this. It
Yeah.
could be good for the podcast.
Okay, go for it.
So I say go for it.
So we're going to talk a little bit about victims that then become criminals, or another way to put this would be victim-offender overlap.
Oh, well.
So there is a link between victimization and criminal offending. And this is especially true for people who have been victims of violent crimes, or for people who commit murder having been previous victims of some sort of violence.
Okay.
As opposed to like property damage. Like that's not so much like if you were a victim of it, then you become a perpetrator. It's more like the violence aspect. I do want to preface this though and say most people who are victims of violence or victims of crimes do not go on to become perpetrators. So just put that out there. Don't hate
Also,
me.
this is a movie.
This is also
Is this fictional?
Yeah.
But most people that are victims do not go on to become perpetrators. However, that being said, there's one study that found that there was only 5% of perpetrators who had not been exposed to violence or victims of violence in their past.
I mean, that seems reasonable, actually.
Right. So although most people who are victims do not become the offenders, most people that are offenders have been victims.
Well, and I'm guessing most victims do not become the actual person that offended them, like cosplaying the killer.
Yeah.
Right.
That impacted their life.
Right. Yeah. And it's also not just that if you've witnessed violence that you'll offend, but also if you have like been a perpetrator, you also have a higher chance of also being a victim. So it's like this cycle of like victim perpetrator goes kind of back and forth in and out. Can. So one of the reasons behind this is that being a victim of something like some violence could put you it could be a risk factor for later having some delinquency. But the cause for this is unclear. Is it that it's correlated and that, you know, people who tend to be a higher chance for victims also then have the same sort of factors that contribute to them becoming perpetrators? Or does witnessing the violence, as happens with Axel, does witnessing it then cause this need for retribution? So it's that causality is not very clear. One theory is that there's demographic variables that lead to you being in both roles, like both being a victim and then committing crimes. Some risk factors could be if you have low school commitment, your gender, and if you have lower self-control, especially as a teen. Also, if you have exposure to violence, that can lead to impaired decision making, especially depending on when you have witnessed the violence. So since our victim Axel saw this violence at a young age, he learned from Harry Warden and his own experience as the victim, but his decision making is impaired, so he struggles to know, like, he learned how from Harry Warden how to like be the aggressor, but he didn't have the ability to make decisions on like, this is actually not the correct way to do things. Because the act of witnessing that violence in and of itself made it that like he struggled to be able to like make good decisions. You know? Mm-hmm. So my guess also is that Axel did not get appropriate trauma-informed counseling after the death of his dad. Because knowing how they approach things in this movie, like, oh, Maple got murdered, let's just say it was a heart attack. Oh, Axel's dad got murdered, let's just pretend everything's fine. Mm-hmm. So in this crucial time where like Axel has just witnessed violence, he's learned like, okay, this is a way to deal with your problems. Now my dad's not here to teach me that that's not the case. And everyone in the town is just pretending it never happened. He never learned like appropriate ways to like cope with this. So he's kind of like replaying that trauma of what happened in his childhood over and over again, being the perpetrator. Because he never got the proper help. So, we're going to talk about this actually. I don't want to jump the gun too much, but in a couple of weeks, because we have an upcoming movie where we're going to talk about some theories of crime. So I don't want to talk too much about them. But there is something called the routine activity theory, and that explains how victimization and offending, how it can kind of all come together. So in order for a crime to happen, you have to have a suitable target. So like all of the people that get slashed in this movie, you have to have an offender who's motivated, which is Axel. And then you have to have the absence of what they call a capable guardian. And so a capable guardian would be like a parental figure or a police officer guiding you and telling you that this is not the way to do things, or like watching you so that you know, like, I can't just go and commit this crime. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in an upcoming episode. So I'm not going to talk too much about it. But there's another general theory of crime which focuses more on like your self-control and kind of like some subcultures to why you would commit a crime. And this would kind of suggest that maybe Axel withdrew from society after his dad died, and he wasn't properly socialized during his formative years. So like he was really young, his dad died. So not only is he then like struggling in decision making and not able to process this, but my guess would be he withdrew from everyone. He
Mhm.
finally has come back into the social picture as a teenager in high school or 40-year-old. I don't know how old he is.
I think they're adults, right? I don't know.
Adults.
It's
Okay.
Who knows?
So
there's
he's
obviously no way to know.
so he's fine. So he's maybe back, but I think that the really bulk part of his formative years is no one was there to correct some minor delinquent behaviors. I think maybe Axel started doing some slightly aggressive things, and his dad wasn't there to be like, no, this is not the right path, and steer him a different way. And then it just snowballed. It progressively got worse, which is what I think happened in this movie for Axel. So really, I think what happened is a standard kind of criminal theory of crime as to what, like, why Axel became the way that he did.
Mm-hmm.
Is that he witnessed it, couldn't process it, didn't have anyone to help him through it.
Yeah.
So, note to future people, if something bad happens, make sure to get the person help. Therapy.
Yeah.
Therapy is the
Yeah.
answer.
And don't go into mines.
And also, don't go into mines.
Never.
Just ever. Yeah.
I think maybe a decent amount of people in this movie have maybe some toxicity poisoning happening, leading to
believe
bad
that.
decision making.
I would believe that.
So
You know what?
maybe I need to do an environmental study
Mhm.
Yes.
on
Yeah.
this movie.
Yes.
You have
Yeah.
to consider their environment.
Yeah.
That's interesting though.
So this is a little preview to something we're going to talk about in a couple of weeks.
Mhm.
But this was a little preview to some crime theory.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm,
No, I like it.
Mhm.
Well, I can share just a few fun facts. I didn't find as many for this one. But one is that they filmed at an actual mine. So it was in Canada, in Nova Scotia, and it's
Of
the
course.
Sydney mines, if you want to
Mhm.
look them up.
Okay.
But one thing that I thought was funny is that apparently when the town realized that they were going to be shooting there, they spent all this money to like clean it up, make it look nice because they knew that they were going to come film a movie. They estimated to have spent about like $50,000 to get it all ready. And then they came, the movie makers, and they were like, oh, well, no, like we want it to look bad. So then they spent $75,000 to make it look bad.
Oh,
Like, let's go and take it back.
son of a bitch.
That's
It was
amazing.
before.
Dang it.
Incredible.
But yeah, so it was a real mine. So they tried to keep lighting kind of like minimal to get the full effects. It didn't go as deep as what they said in the movie, like 2,000 feet, but I'm pretty sure some parts were as deep as like 900
Oh, that's
feet.
terrifying.
So they were in the mines, and much like the movie, they actually did have to worry about methane explosions. So they
Okay.
had to limit actual lighting
Oh
for
my
that reason.
gosh.
But I mean,
Oh.
the set looked so good.
It did.
It kind of makes sense that they just used a closed down mine.
No,
Yeah.
actually, it really did.
It really
Yeah.
did look good. I loved the set in this
Yeah.
movie.
Oh yeah. When the creators of the movie, so they knew from the very beginning, they kind of wanted to like cash in on the whole like slasher themed movies that were coming out at the time. And so they knew it was always going to be a Valentine's Day. They knew it was going to be My Bloody Valentine. But they originally said that the title, like the working title, was The Secret, just so no one could see that they were making a Valentine's Day one and like try to take that idea.
Nice.
Because things like Halloween and stuff had already come out.
Yeah.
They didn't want anyone to like swoop in before them to create a Valentine's Day one.
I love that it was Valentine's Day.
Yeah. And one thing that I didn't catch until looking back onto it, at the beginning, it says that it's Thursday, February 12th, and that the dance is going to happen on Saturday, the 14th, which would mean that the Friday before that is Friday, the 13th.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, like a little callback there.
That's amazing.
Apparently in that opening scene, the shower, apparently it was actually like really cold, and then they had like steam blowing in to make it look like it was going to be really hot, but apparently it was actually freezing.
Oh,
And
no.
I think for a good chunk of that they were actually naked, even though they were only filmed
Yeah.
up.
Just for
So
authenticity.
seems unnecessary, but I think they were committed.
All right. You know, you got to do what you got to do, I guess.
And then I've seen little scenes about this, but apparently they had to shave about 9 minutes off of the movie in order to reduce it from an X rating to an R rating.
Okay.
So they were like about 9 minutes taken. And like I've seen some of the deleted scenes because you can see them online. And I think there might be a version out there that includes the deleted scenes. And apparently one way to notice it is like the quality is very different because it's had to get like remastered to like put it back in.
Oh.
Okay.
So apparently you can usually see like a gap in the quality where they put in these scenes, but like they're gruesome. Like I feel like the deaths were pretty good from what we saw, and it's like now imagine all of them, but a little more.
Nice.
Oh,
It was
interesting.
like it wasn't like 9 minutes of like, oh, there was like a 9-minute scene. It was like, no, it was like little
Each
bits
one.
to like cut off what they were showing you in order to
Interesting.
make it R rated instead of
Hmm.
X.
Okay. Ooh, I kind of want to see that version.
I know.
Right? And then the last thing I saw is obviously we already talked about My Bloody Valentine 3D. But Blumhouse has announced that they are rebooting it again.
Oh, okay.
So if you really love this movie, I don't know how like in the work. I don't think there's like a release date as far as what I saw, but there might be a reboot coming soon, or like a remake.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, and then this isn't a fun fact, but I wrote it down and then I tried looking it up and then I couldn't find anything. But did you guys notice when everything first starts happening, I think it's TJ goes to like call the police and like the phone has been cut. There's a phone number on the phone that says like fire police, and the number was 999-5454. And I tried looking it up because by the 80s we definitely had 911.
Right.
Yeah,
Like it definitely. So I tried looking it up and I couldn't find anything about
Weird.
this. I think maybe even at some point in Canada, 999 was the emergency number, but like I tried just looking up like the full like 999-5454 to be like, was this ever? The numbers like, I don't know, maybe it was like a really local. That's the only thing.
Yeah,
I
right.
was like, oh, that was like the local number
Chapter
to call.
You know,
But it was like, what a weird little
that is
thing.
weird.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because I forgot I was going to say earlier. One of the most striking things to me about this movie was all of the random ass posters everywhere. I could not stop reading them all. There was all of these random posters with all these slogans, all these signs, all these like, and I was like, someone had to take the time to put these up to make these. It was just, I want to go through and just look at all the posters in this movie.
Yeah.
So random.
They were crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if this was all intentional. Did someone do this? Did they just like go to this? Because it wasn't like a real mining town. Like I think a lot of the houses, like they were like company housing for this mine that had closed down. Like I wonder how much was already there.
Yeah.
Like some of the posters and like this weird phone number. Like I wonder how much was there and how much was like them adding.
I wonder.
To it, 'cause I really don't know.
Because it was just so much that I was like, this just feels odd to have been done on purpose. Like maybe it was just already there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny too because I was thinking about this and I was like, you know, in my mind, it's easy to remember other of the classics as being so much better, but really, quality wise, they're all of their era. Like this one isn't that much worse than some of the older ones, you know?
Oh no.
So I'm just like really surprised that it's not more well known.
No, seriously.
And like one of the ones to watch.
Yeah, no, like if you love an 80s slasher, you know, love a theme, a good
it's
holiday.
Very much worth a watch, I think.
It's so fun. Like it's just a fun one.
I think this one would have been a lot more fun to watch as a group.
Yeah.
I feel like that for me, like the difference between like Chucky and this one, like as far as just the vibe, I think it only this one didn't live up to it as much for me because I wasn't watching it with anyone. Right. But like if we had all been watching about it and watched the guy's head get dumped into the hot dog water, we would have been like, ah!
No, it would have been a different.
Yeah.
No, I feel like these kind of horror movies are best in a group.
No, like if someone did, like if they put this in the theater, I would love to go watch it in theater. This one would be so fun.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yes.
Yep. All right, well, let's get into it then, because here on Spooky Sips, we don't give stars, we give sips. So out of 5 sips, how many are you giving this Bloody Valentine?
I
no
can
idea.
go. So so much of it I like. I loved the creativity of the deaths. I loved the details of the town and the set. And I just loved the idea and the poetry in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I watched it by myself. And so I feel like for that reason, I was not so into it. So I can't give it a 3. Because to me it was, but had I watched it with you guys, I probably would have. But since I watched it alone, I'm giving it a 2.5.
Yeah. No, it's kind of that. I feel like that's what I was trying to decide with, where it's like, I don't know, like, cause it's like, it was fun. And honestly, the deaths were really interesting.
They were.
There was a lot about this movie that was fun, but like, I don't think it quite goes above a 3.
Right.
It doesn't quite like reach that. So I kind of agree. I think 2.5.
Yeah, I think again we're gonna even it all out being on the same, because for me, like, I have such a love-hate relationship with slashers.
Mhm.
Like I win again when it's like a group thing and it's like,
Mhm.
you know, you're doing the whole kitsch, like it's the whole thing. I love them. But just as like a horror movie that I'm going to watch by myself, I would always choose slasher last. Like just personally.
Yeah.
But I actually really liked this one. So for me, my 2.5 is a good one. So like I think you should definitely watch it if you haven't seen it. I think it holds its own amongst the other ones.
Yeah, watch this one with friends.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, like if it was playing at like a Halloween party or something.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yes. Or a Valentine's Day party.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, a Valentine's dance.
Yeah, get your hot dogs boiling.
Yep.
Host a party.
Yep. All right. Well, since it is the shortest month of the year, we're going to give you guys another short. This time it's a YouTube short, so that's where you go to watch it. It's real short. It's under 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
It is called The Other Side of the Box.
I'm excited.
So you have no excuse not to watch it because it will not take you very long. And if you haven't seen it, get watching and get sipping. And we'll see you next time on Spooky Sips.
Goodbye.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Spooky Sips. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're listening. To stay up to date on all the spooky things we're up to, follow us on Facebook and Instagram at spookysips_podcast. And if you want to help support the podcast, consider buying us a coffee, or really a cocktail. We are completely independent, so every little bit goes a long way to keeping our podcast running and improving. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.